Please be seated. President, Dean, members of faculty, and most importantly, our new students of physiotherapy, pharmacy, physician associates in medicine, you're all very welcome this evening to our annual RCSI White Coat Ceremony. I'd also like to extend a very warm welcome to your family and friends who may be watching this through live streaming from the RCSI website and the Chain Lecture Hall. The White Coat Ceremony is an important event. It's a recognition that you are all embarking on an important professional healthcare career with responsibilities for patients, and this ceremony is your first formal introduction to professionalism. The ceremony espouses the 4 core values of RCSI: respect, collaboration, scholarship, and innovation. During the ceremony, you'll be asked to put on your white coat and recite the declaration after the RCSI President, Mr. Kenneth Mealy, and then you'll be asked to process down the aisles to be congratulated by members of the faculty. Before we start the proceedings, I'd like to introduce the platform party. At the table to the front in the centre is Mr. Kenneth Mealy, President of RCSI, and on your right, from your right, in seated order, is Mr. Abdul Wahab Shamsaldeen, President of the Students' Union, Ms. Emily Beattie, Medical Student Representative, Mr. Brian O'Rourke, Physiotherapy Student Representative, Ailey Rogers, Pharmacy Student Representative, Kelly Wakakori, Physician Associate Student Representative, Professor Aidan Bradford, Junior Psychiatric Director at the School of Medicine, Professor Denny Woodmansey, Physician Associate Program Director, Professor Seamus Sreenan, Director of Graduate Entry Medicine, Professor Defasa Slattery, Chair of Medical Professionalism at RCSI, Professor Hannah McGee, Dean of the Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences, Professor Clive Lee, Professor of Anatomy, Dr. Orna Tai, Academic Director for Student Support and Development, Professor Kevin McGuigan, Director of Foundation Year, Professor Francis Horgan, Acting Head of the School of Physiotherapy, Dr. Marion Brennan, Deputy Director of the Graduate Entry Medicine Programme, Professor Paul Gallagher, Head of the School of Pharmacy, Ms. Judith Gilroy, Associate Director of Student Affairs, Mr. Frank Donegan, our Head Porter and Mace Bearer, and my name is Cathal Kelly, Chief Executive of RCSI. It now gives me great pleasure to call on Professor Hannah McGee, Dean of the Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences.
Good evening, President, RCSI, President of the Students' Union, members of the Platform Party, and good evening you especially, our new students of medicine, pharmacy, physiotherapy, and physician associates. And good evening to family, friends, and faculty members who may be looking at us online. Welcome, students, to your first event here in RCSI with senior faculty, as you see in the front row, who will instruct, guide, and support you in your studies over the next number of years. You have a large number of people here to signify the importance of this induction ceremony. Probably there won't be so many people sitting in front of you as faculty until you graduate again. So this is the first formal introduction to professionalism in your studies here at RCSI. You will be expected from the outset at RCSI to understand the responsibilities you are undertaking and the privileges you receive as student healthcare professionals. Qualifying as a health professional involves undertaking academic study like anybody else in university, but is also combined with training in skills and in professional attitudes and behaviours from day one in healthcare settings. And that's quite different from the relative independence for many of being a university student. This essential apprenticeship that you're undertaking is possible because in this country and this society, patients and their families generously allow their care to be delivered in teaching environments. And they permit you as students to learn about healthcare delivery while they as patients are being treated for often serious, worrying and distressing conditions. Without this generosity of spirit by patients and families, the education of healthcare professionals would not be meaningfully possible. And this enormous privilege is one which successive generations of students must respect and preserve to earn for the next generation. Among this generosity of spirit from the public, we count the generosity of those who donate their own bodies and the families of those donors who support that donation. Their amazing generosity enables you here in RCSI to start your training in the anatomy room this week, and you will hear a little more about that later. One way to signal this rite of passage of your beginning as a health professional, a student in RCSI, is to use the metaphor of the white coat that we're celebrating here this evening. And the white coat symbolizes a number of things. First of all, it symbolizes a health professional, be it a physician, a pharmacist, a physiotherapist, a physician associate. It's also the symbol in many cultures for the scientist. So it's a symbol of the importance of scientific evidence and of being a good interpreter and user of that evidence, which we will want you to do in your career. And of course, it's the symbol of the expert. In many situations, we know that white coats are no longer worn in many health professional situations. And there are ongoing debates that you will hear about white coats regarding infection control and communication barriers and so on. But nonetheless, it remains a really powerful symbol of the role of the professions that you are about to undertake. And for students embarking on a program of study here at RCSI, it's a recognition that you as students are embarking on an important career that has significant responsibilities. The white coat ceremony was originated in the 1990s in the US, so contrary to what many people think, it's not actually a very old tradition. And it was originated by a doctor called Dr. Arnold P. Gold, who just died in the last year at the grand old age of 92. And adopting the words of Dr. Gold to reflect all of the professional programs here at RCSI, he said, "The ceremony is intended to impress upon you the primacy of the professional-patient relationship, to encourage you to enter into a psychological contract in which you accept the obligations inherent in the practice of your profession, to be excellent in science, to be compassionate, and to lead lives of honor. It is designed to clarify for students that it will be their responsibility to take care of patients and to also care for patients." So for professionals, the white coat has been associated very much with respect for the wearer. And in many universities, people will have a white coat ceremony about halfway through their professional training career when they start to spend more time in the hospitals. We here at RCSI think it's really important that we have this ceremony in the very first week that you're here before you put on your first professional white coat as you go into your laboratory training. And we also really feel it's a very important symbol that all of the disciplines that we train here as undergraduates and healthcare professionals at RCSI, so medicine, physiotherapy, pharmacy, and physician associates, all undertake this ceremony together, because you will spend a career working as team members with each other once you qualify. So amongst the generosity of the spirit from the public, sorry, I'm repeating myself here. As students, apart from the respect for the white coat, you must also learn to be respectful. Respectful to patients, but also to fellow classmates, to RCSI staff, and to all of the others you will meet during your training. We espouse 4 values, as you've heard Professor Kelly say in RCSI, made easy to remember by the letters RCSI, so respect, collaboration, scholarship, and innovation. This ceremony matters because it represents a professional ideal. We are asking you to sign up to be respectful, to be collaborative, to be scholarly, and hopefully even where it's appropriate to be innovative in your studies. These qualities are the ones that we expect of all of our students with the guidance of our staff that we will develop with you over your undergraduate years. Now, if all of this sounds very serious, and of course it's seriously important, it's not all about being somber and serious. You'll be very well trained by excellent faculty, and we have every confidence that we can turn you out as proud graduates of RCSI. And you'll be very well trained, as I said, for the responsibilities and roles that you will face. And you will enjoy, in turn, opportunities and careers that are really inspiring and fun. They mightn't be smiling now in the front row, but we really do have inspiring, fun, engaging careers. And you are starting as one of those careers on a great personal and professional journey. And we want to inspire and guide you to undertake that in a truly professional and engaged way. As an inspiration to incoming students every year, we invite the Students' Union President and a number of students representing each of our undergraduate disciplines to deliver short presentations describing extracurricular experiences they've had at college, which contribute to their overall personal and professional development. And we hope some of these presentations will stimulate you to think what sort of things you might do over the course of the next number of years in college alongside your studies. The ceremony will then conclude with you as incoming students being invited to show your acceptance of your commitment to this professional training role at RCSI by the symbolic putting on of the white coat. So think about where you want this white coat and this professional training to take you, and maybe this week, before your very first week in college is over, you might write a diary entry, half a page, whatever, about how you feel as you start your degree program. Something to look back on your graduation day, which will come faster than you think. And so we hope you have a great week starting your professional career, and as I said, maybe jot down some of those thoughts that you have this week as you start to realize the ambitions you've had for many years during your studies in second level. So now, as we start in college in these first days, we want you to start with the end in mind. And so I want to have you think about your graduation day. A key part of your graduation ceremony is our graduates' declaration. And that's based on the ancient Hippocratic Oath that was used traditionally in the qualification of doctors. It's a modern-day statement shaped here by RCSI students, which states their commitment to the ideals of professionalism in their career on the day that they graduate and in front of their families, and in front of us as their faculty, and in front of their classmates and peers. It's a declaration by all RCSI students as they graduate, and like all of you here today, those who graduate in medicine, pharmacy, physiotherapy, and physician associates. And we also have a similar declaration for postgraduates. So what I want you to do is I want you to shortly stand to put on your white coats, and I'm going to ask you then to recite this declaration as students. The declaration preparing you for the next time you will do this will be on your graduation day. So I'm going to ask you to stand, to put on your white coats, as each of you embark on your journey as students here at RCSI. We ask you to think about how you will strive to learn the principles of professionalism and reflect on and master the challenges of being professional. We require you to commit to act from now in a professional manner and begin to live up to the ideals you will practice in the future. And I want you, okay, just hold it for a few moments. I want you to bear in mind that the words you will recite after our President Mealy, this is the first time you will say these words, and the next time you will be saying these words are at your graduation ceremony. Now, in some of the countries in which we graduate students, in some cultures, people have different ways of actually showing respect when they make declarations or promises. We find sometimes some of our students like to put their hand on their heart, students in some cultures like to hold their hand up, and others just like to hold their hands by their side. So whichever way you want to read the declaration, think about it, and we want you to repeat with enthusiasm after our President the RCSI Graduates Declaration. So I'm going to call on President Mealy to recite the declaration and to follow after him in the words of the declaration.
So I'd ask you to recite after me. Today I will begin to practice my profession and state your profession with conscience and dignity.
Today I will begin to practice my profession in medicine with conscience and dignity.
As I learn, the health of the patient will be my first concern.
As I learn, the health of the patient will be my first concern.
I will maintain the utmost respect for human life. I will remember that there is art to my profession as well as science, and that warmth, empathy, and understanding, skills I will strive to develop, may outweigh treatment.
I will remember that there is art to my profession as well as science, and that warmth, empathy, and understanding, skills I will strive to develop, may outweigh treatment alone.
I will respect the confidential information that is entrusted to me even after a patient has died.
I will respect the confidential information
I will not permit considerations of age, disease or disability, creed, ethnic origin, gender, nationality, political affiliation, race, sexual orientation, social standing, or any other factor to intervene between my duty and my patient, nor to influence the appropriate completion of my duties as a health professional student.
I will not permit considerations of age, disease or disability, creed, ethnic origin, gender, nationality, political affiliation, race, sexual orientation, social standing, or any other factor to intervene between my duty and my patient, or to influence the appropriate completion of my duties as a fellow professional student.
I will not use my professional knowledge to violate human rights and civil liberties, even under threat.
I will not use my professional knowledge to violate human rights and civil liberties, even under threat.
I will study and respect the hard-won scientific gains of those in whose steps I walk, and gladly share my knowledge with those that follow, when and where I am appropriately qualified to do so.
I will study and respect the hard-won scientific gains of those in whose steps I walk, and gladly share such knowledge with those that follow, when and where I am appropriately qualified to do so.
I will abide by the code of conduct of my profession, and during my studies in RCSI, I will strive to develop high standards of practice, lifelong education, and research in the interest of human health.
I will abide by the code of conduct of my profession, and during my studies in RCSI, I will strive to develop high standards of practice, lifelong education, and research in the interest of human health.
I make these promises solemnly, freely, and upon my honour.
I make these promises solemnly, freely, and upon my honor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take your seats for a moment. Well done, everybody. And I'm now going to go to the student experience section of the programme. I'm going to call on Vice Dean Dr. Orla Ty to introduce the students.
Hello everybody, you're very welcome. You're probably tired of seeing me over the past 2 days, but I have a great pleasure now in inviting some students to address you. And every year the faculty comment after this ceremony about how inspiring these students are. These are students who have been sitting in the place where you're sitting only a year or 2 or 3 years ahead of you and have had a fantastic time at RCSI and have used that to achieve great things in their own personal journeys, and we hope they will inspire you to aim high and achieve greatness as well. So it is my great pleasure really to invite Miss Emily Beattie to talk to you, and Emily is a second-year medicine student here at RCSI.
Good evening, President of the Royal College of Surgeons, distinguished guests and fellow students. Last year, I had the privilege of sitting where you are right now, attending the white coat ceremony at one of the most prestigious international medical schools. You are all now attending this great ceremony, and you are achieving this as a result of your passion for healthcare and the well-being of others, your motivation to succeed, and your work ethic. All of us will have a unique experience at RCSI, and this evening I would like to share with you the experiences I enjoyed last year as a first-year medical student at this great institution, the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland. Like you all, I was driven to succeed and to study medicine. I also have another passion, hockey. I've been fortunate enough to represent Ireland at senior international level since I was 19 years of age, and I have trained and played with the team for the last 5 years. My goal for last year was to play in the Hockey World Cup that was on last month. Most of my teammates took a year off work to play hockey professionally abroad, or those in college took time off in order to focus solely on training and making the World Cup team. I thought, how as a full-time medical student can I compete with these teammates for a place in the team and keep up my studies at the same time? But my concerns were misplaced, as the college went above and beyond what one would expect of any educational institution to support me. There was simply no accommodation that was too much to request to enable me to engage in both my passions, medicine and hockey. I arrived in RCSI this time last year, and I can say that without a doubt, you have all just arrived in a college that will enable you to achieve all of your goals, ambitions, and dreams. Coming to the end of my first year in RCSI, my hockey was going well. I had played in all of Ireland's games this year, and I couldn't help but think how amazing it would be to represent Ireland at a World Cup. In the final round of games in Germany in June, the selection of 18 out of 29 players was made. I did not make the cut. I was selected as number 19, the first reserve. I was devastated. I had sacrificed so much, but had come up agonisingly short. When people outside of hockey think of these sacrifices, they think of the obvious things. The 6 a.m. starts to get to the gym before college, the grueling running sessions in the pouring rain, and the strict nutrition that stops me from overly indulging in my greatest joy of all, chocolate. But really, it's the small things people don't see that are the toughest. The countless nights I went to bed early when all my friends were out having fun. Afternoons coming home from matches exhausted and having to tackle 3 different assignments. And the summers spent at home training, while others my age were off travelling the world. As the Hockey World Cup began to emerge in the headlines in advance of the tournament commencing, I was distraught. The college sent me an email congratulating me and the entire team for making the World Cup. I was naturally concerned that the college had the mistaken belief that I was playing in the World Cup as part of the 18-strong squad. So I replied by saying that I was number 19 and unfortunately would not be representing Ireland at the tournament. I got what I can only describe as an extraordinary response from the college, which I believe epitomises the ethos of the Royal College of Surgeons. The email said I was every bit a part of the Irish hockey team as these 18 players that had been chosen. I had trained the same as every member of the team, that the team's success is also my success, and that everyone in the college is deeply proud of me. That email spurred me on to do what I had to do in the circumstances in which I found myself, namely being the first reserve. I had to prepare myself for a call-up in the unlikely event of an injury to one of my teammates. I trained every day as hard as I had been during our selection process. My team reached the World Cup final, and only 5 hours before the final, I received a call from the coach saying there was an injury and they needed me to play. I had just 5 hours to prepare myself for the biggest match that there is in any sport, a World Cup final. Rushing across London on my way to the team hotel, I had 3 sets of people that I had to inform, and then I had to focus. The first was my family, the second my friends, and the third was to the college that had given me such great support all year. Without the support of the college, I would not have been able to keep up my studies and win a World Cup silver medal. In my very first lecture here last year, a professor told us to take a look around the room, and then he said, "In this room, you will make some of your best friends. They will be with you through the ups and downs of medical school and life thereafter." Well, I think he slightly undershot it. When I finally got to my phone after we picked up our medals, I was overwhelmed at the messages that I had received from so many of my classmates here at the college. Some of these friends I had not yet made this time last year, where I sat where you now sit, had managed to get a couple of hours off work to watch the final. Others managed to watch it in Panama, Colombia, and the USA. I received messages from college friends in Bahrain, Pakistan, and Malaysia congratulating me. I had never experienced camaraderie like this before. Not only will you make friends here for life, but you will do so on a global basis. Studying medicine is demanding. It demands your time, it demands your energy, it demands you. It is, in my view, important to balance this with a healthy lifestyle. Playing sport of any kind will give you more energy, make your time studying more beneficial, and make you feel better, both physically and mentally. If you don't like playing sport, then use the gym a few times a week. With the state-of-the-art gym 4 floors down from here, it's hard to make excuses. And let's face it, that's what we'll be advising others to do in years to come. My experience of first year was unique to me, and all of you will have different but unique experiences, and I'm going to share with you 3 thoughts. Firstly, everyone will, as I have, experience setbacks, not only in medicine, but in all aspects of life. It is how you react to these setbacks that will define you. Be strong in the face of adversity, and you will come out the other end a better person. Secondly, try and get involved in everything. Take time to go for coffee with classmates, go on class nights out and trips, and join some of the many societies here at the college. And finally, to quote Albus Dumbledore from Harry Potter, help will always be given to those at Hogwarts who ask for it. From my experience, I can tell you all that the same can be said for RCSI. No matter how big or small an issue may be, there will always be people here in this great college to help you through it. Thank you for listening, and I wish you all every success in your years here at RCSI.
It's not every year we have a World Cup silver medalist addressing us at the White Coat ceremony, so we're very proud of our students' achievements. I think maybe that deserves a second round of applause. I now have the pleasure of calling on Mr. Brian O'Rourke, who's representing the School of Physiotherapy.
Hello everyone, and welcome to all new students. My name is Brian O'Rourke, and I'm a final year physiotherapy student. I began in RCSI as a graduate entry student myself 2 years ago in 2016. I chose to study physiotherapy after working for a number of years in finance, where I became bored very quickly sitting around the office all day. So I left and spent some time traveling, where I met many different therapists and discovered my passion for health and movement. I was looking for my vocation, what I wanted to do in my life. And it was when I researched the health sciences that I discovered how physiotherapy is a pillar in the health community, offering many people a means of improving their quality of life. That's what attracted me to physiotherapy, seeing myself being able to improve the qualities of their day-to-day lives. So I applied to RCSI for a number of reasons. All the positive things, like the good location, the smaller physiotherapy class sizes, the shared classes with medical students. But what stood out for me was the extracurricular options provided by the college. As a college solely focused on the health sciences, there were a number of unique interprofessional learning opportunities, such as shared classes, where we linked in with pharmacy students or medical students, working through case studies. This helped us to learn about each other's professions, which is important as we will all be working together in a clinical setting one day. The joint curriculum classes as well, with medical students in the first few years of the course, are a great way to get to meet each other, and you'll take part in projects together, which can be quite challenging when you're used to writing essays on your own, but just think of it as a chance to get to know and work with some of the other students who you might never otherwise meet. Another standout reason was the summer research opportunities, which are an incredible resource for learning about the process of research from start to finish. And in my case, getting extra time in hospitals communicating with patients directly. I know the thought of doing research during the summer after a year in college isn't the most appealing, but I have to say it's an opportunity worth taking. This summer I was lucky enough to be able to work with a multidisciplinary team in the emergency department, consisting of a physiotherapist, a social worker, a nurse, and an occupational therapist. In the future, these are the colleagues I'll be working with. And so it was really useful to watch how each of the different disciplines approached patient care and how they all communicated and worked together to provide the patient with well-rounded holistic care. The 8-week summer project helped my confidence a huge amount for when I then went out on placement. One early example I remember is when an older patient asked me to speak up while I was assessing him. By nature, I'm a fairly quiet person, so I found it challenging having to raise my voice in order to communicate with him. I felt like I was nearly shouting, but at least we could have a conversation then. There were senior physios in the room, and it did make me feel self-conscious and a bit nervous. But I needed to cater to his needs so that he could understand me. Every patient interaction is a great learning opportunity, even if it just helps to grow confidence like this one did for me. and all the extra clinical hours that research gave me made a big difference. If you're still not convinced about summer research, well, there's a grant as well, so getting paid for the work does help. So I think through the college year, try not to get bogged down in the workload. If you keep on top of lectures, you'll be surprised what you remember when it comes around to exams. In terms of practical exams, your interpersonal skills go a long way. Listening carefully, explaining what you're doing, and being calm and confident can really bring up your marks. Help each other too. I've relied on friends a lot during exam times to keep from burning out and to avoid missing some important details like the exam starts at 9 and not 9:30. If you can try to keep up or start some hobby, just something totally separate to college that you're doing for yourself, whatever you find relaxes you, that can really help. My time here has flown by. I'll miss it, but to be honest, I also can't wait to be earning again. I'm talking like I've just graduated. I still have another 9 months and more exams to complete, so I should probably take some of my own advice and get active. We've all chosen to be here to do the course of our choice. Here in RCSI, we have a great opportunity to become excellent healthcare professionals. It's important to remember that we will always be learning throughout our careers and lives. Socrates, the Greek philosopher, when told that he was the smartest man in Athens, he replied, "If I am the smartest man, it is because I know that I know nothing." I'm mentioning this because I think it's important in the health disciplines to always remember that no matter what we know, we should always keep an open mind to learning new things. Our focus needs to be always on the person that we're trying to help. Each patient is unique, and some may need a much more holistic and interdisciplinary involvement, so always listen and respond to their needs. I've really benefited from my training so far, and I've learned so much in RCSI. I hope your experience will be a positive one, as mine has been. Best of luck. Thank you.
I now have the pleasure of calling Miss Ailey Rogers, who's representing the School of Pharmacy.
Esteemed guests, faculty, students, what an honour it is for me to stand up in front of you today to speak. I firstly would like to thank Professor Paul Gallagher for giving me this opportunity and for allowing me to be part of such a momentous evening. When I look down at you all, it very quickly brings me back to my own white coat ceremony 4 years ago. I was living in Mercer with 3 other girls doing pharmacy, and for some reason the importance and formality of this occasion completely escaped us, and we ended up arriving with about a minute to spare, getting the last 4 seats in the row, me wearing my oldest, most ragged pair of jeans and Converse. When it came to standing up and donning our white coats for the very first time, I found myself suddenly incapable of doing up the buttons. Of course, as I became more and more panicked, the buttons became more and more of a mystery to me. But when I looked around, everyone else was walking up to the top of the room confidently, coats looking exactly how they should. I took this to be a metaphor for how I felt starting pharmacy then. I wasn't going to be able to keep up with the others. I hadn't even studied chemistry before. I was kind of an imposter amongst this group, having never even wanted to wear a white coat. In fact, I struggled to see how my own interests then could align with a course like pharmacy, languages, human rights, economics. I couldn't even do up a few simple buttons. If that wasn't a clear sign that I shouldn't be there at all, I didn't know what was. You may or may not feel the same. Everyone comes here with their own reasons. I know for many of my own class, pharmacy or RCSI were not initially where they had seen themselves either. For me, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I figured pharmacy couldn't be a bad place to start and could serve as a pretty decent stepping stone to allow me to achieve the one big goal I had, which was to make a real meaningful difference in the world. The special thing about pharmacy is that you are literally trained to do just that. And that doesn't have to be changing the life of one person in a community pharmacy or on a hospital ward. That could be developing a breakthrough therapeutic novel agent that could impact on the lives of thousands. It could be influencing healthcare policies that could change how entire countries run their health services. It could be getting HIV medicines into third world countries for the very first time. In that way, I began to see how the course I had initially seen as being so far removed from my own interests wasn't so far at all. But you decide. You decide what you're going to take from the next few years and bring forward in your own careers. Similarly, you decide what you're going to get from your RCSI experience. I still have encounters with people who look at my RCSI student card with confusion and at times scepticism because they simply aren't familiar with this college. But something you will learn very quickly after spending some time here is that, in fact, there is nowhere else better than where you are right now. This is where you will get the best education and training, the best opportunities and the best encouragement to flourish in all aspects of life, whether that be academic or social. RCSI is a very, very unique place, but it is up to you to embrace it and to use it to help you get to wherever it is you want to go in your life. I said earlier that at that time, I considered the incident at my white coat ceremony as being an analogy of my place in pharmacy then. But I could also look at what I did after as just as telling. I took my coat jacket, abandoned the buttons, and wrapped it around me instead, shaking the professor's hand, and I did it laughing. So I urge you, just start and give it your best shot. Put your 2 arms into your 2 sleeves. When it seems like you want to give up because you can't grasp something as fast as those around you, keep going and wrap your coat around you instead. And most of all, keep your head held high and do it with a smile on your face. Because what you have achieved to get here, what you have achieved by sitting here in RCSI tonight, whether that be for pharmacy, for physiotherapy, or for medicine, is something pretty special. You are the one wearing the white coat, whether you think you deserve it or not, whether you think you even want it or not. So wear it with pride, whatever way it looks, buttons or no buttons. Good luck and thank you very much.
Wear it with pride. I now have the pleasure of asking Ms. Kelly Wakori from the Physician Associates programme to come and talk to us.
Members of the platform, parents and students, my name is Kelly Wakori and I'm a final year Physician Associate student. And this is a very special moment for first year students, for the Physician Associate programme and particularly for myself. If someone told me 4 years ago, or even last year at my white coat ceremony, that I would be standing here addressing you all today, I never would have believed them. I probably would have laughed, to be honest. The journey I've taken here at my time in RCSI has been life-changing in the best possible way. RCSI has enabled me to learn things about myself I never knew, build my character, and challenge myself to push to heights I never thought I could reach. I'd like to start by taking you all back to where my journey began and how I, Kelly, wound up addressing you all here today. After my leaving cert, I studied physiology in UCD. First and second year sailed by, and then life took an unexpected turn. Extenuating circumstances and personal reasons happened, and I unfortunately had to repeat my 3rd year. This really knocked me back. It took a lot to get back on track, but as all good stories go, I graduated with honours back in 2015. At this point, I told myself I wanted to take a well-deserved break from academia, but it wasn't long until boredom set in, and I knew my story was nowhere near finished. I was eager to get back into education, and I had always imagined myself working in healthcare. So I went along to an RCSI Open Day in 2016, which happened to be the first year of the Physician Associate Master's Programme. I actually had never heard of Physician Associates, or PAs as we're known, which may or may not be the opposite of what I said in my interview. And I would probably be right in saying that many of you are unfamiliar with the programme, just like I was. Unlike our medicine, pharmacy and physiotherapy students, the first year PAs have been here in RCSI studying and growing since January of this year. Our programme runs full-time in a calendar year from January to December and is a 24-month continuous programme with only 2 to 3 weeks, if you're lucky, summer holidays. So physician associates are highly skilled healthcare professionals who provide a wide range of medical services. Once qualified, we work within a defined scope of practice and we can take medical histories, diagnose illnesses in the hospital or in a GP setting, perform physical exams, order tests, and check results while developing and delivering appropriate treatment and management plans and assisting in surgery. As a student, our time is split between clinical detachment and attending class here in RCSI. Clinical rotations are structured in order to support us in gaining maximum exposure to clinical skills and reasoning. So I sat there on open day hearing about the diversity of the role, and I felt like I'd found a potential career path for me. I wanted to be a part of this exciting new profession, a profession that has gained international recognition, originating in the US over 50 years ago and spread to the UK over 10 years ago. So fast forward several months to 2017, after I was accepted onto the programme, I soon realised that going back to college was not going to be easy. The volume of material I had to learn, the intensity of the course, just didn't seem possible to me in the beginning. But after I settled in, I fell into my stride, and I had the support from classmates who went on to become some of the best friends I've ever made in anything I've done in life. I progressed to year 2 and was nominated class representative for my year. From here, I really felt my character grow. I began to build sustaining relationships with faculty, liaise with colleagues in the School of Medicine, who are always more than happy to have teaching sessions with the PAs, and over the last year we have been learning from each other. RCSI gave me the tools to develop my confidence and new skills I was not aware I possessed. RCSI teach you that clinical placements are not just about learning that particular medical or surgical specialty. It is also the privilege of taking a step into patients' lives and being a part of their experiences. This year alone, I managed to put a cannula in for the first time, assisted in neurosurgery, delivered a baby, reduced a nasal fracture, and assisted patients out in GP practice. A big chunk of our course is the completion of a dissertation. More specifically, a quality improvement project plan, and if any of you are unfamiliar with QI, you can feel free to ask me after. I'd be more than happy to chat about it. So I had the opportunity of working with a really great team in Beaumont Hospital. So my project was in the area of ear, nose and throat and the GP referral process to this department. And after 14 months, I submit my final dissertation next week. My sponsor and medical director for our program, Professor James Paul O'Neill, taught me to always publish my work and share success. Thanks to his advice, I had the opportunity to present my work at a quality improvement conference in Sheffield this year already. And that brings me to where I am now, my journey. I sit my finals in November with the intention of qualifying in December. RCSI is leading the way for the future with the vision of expanding the Irish healthcare system. Launching a PA programme in 2016, the only one in Ireland, means that we are ambassadors of this profession, which has grown to 120,000 in the US. RCSI allows students to feel at home and more than just a student number. This year we made history with the first ever Irish cohort of 6 PAs graduating as pioneers to the profession. You are all here in RCSI for a reason. Your story starts now. Grab all your opportunities, speak to everyone, laugh, study until you literally can't open your eyes anymore. Be embarrassed when you sit at long case teaching and you forget to ask the patient the most obvious questions. Stand out rounds in the morning and you don't know a thing what's going on, and then you come back a month later and you know every single patient's story. Everyone's journey is different, but as you all sit here today, take pride in the fact that you're about to embark on a journey the RCSI way. Thank you.
And finally, I have the pleasure of calling our Student Union President, Abdul Wahab, to address the crowd.
Good evening, one and all. My name is Abdul Wahab Shamsuddin, and I'm the Students' Union President. On the behalf of the Students' Union, I would like to congratulate and welcome you all to RCSI, which is one of the best medical colleges all across the globe. As I've been looking around the room, I could see many happy faces with bright eyes shining with light. Then your first semester starts, and this light gets dimmer and dimmer and dimmer and dimmer. Then Christmas break comes along, and it gets all bright again. And then dimmer and dimmer and dimmer. I'm just joking. It never gets bright again. Well, actually, You will always be faced with interesting challenges in your time in RCSI. Throughout the years, I've found several things that has kept that light shining in my eye. Firstly, in another few years' time, you're all going to be healthcare professionals. How crazy is that? I can't believe that next September, I will be called Dr. Shamsuddin. Sounds pretty neat, right? Enjoy your time at RCSI. Use your time well. Be it excel and attain high grades in your modules. Get to know the people around you. Find a new hobby and use many of the resources that are laid out to you in RCSI. Use your time to grow and become well-rounded individuals. Street poet and philosopher Drake once said, "Oh, well, I guess you lose some and win some. Long as the outcome is income, you know I want it all, and then some." Whilst the idea of material success influences our lives massively, we should not forget to embrace what we enjoy, like, and are passionate about. Look around you, take the time. Look at the people beside you, behind you, and those sitting in front of you. Today you'll be seeing strangers. In several weeks, familiar faces here and there. In several months, you'll be friends. But when this journey ends, you're all going to be a single family. That's the beauty of the healthcare profession. We learn to work together as a single unit. The number one regret I get from most students is that they could relive the whole RCSI experience again. They'd wish that they had been more involved around college by joining societies, meeting the people around them, and using the resources that they had within their grasp. So my advice to you now is to get out there and get to know as many people as you can in these first couple of weeks. RCSI prizes itself for being culturally rich, with students from all across the globe. Diversity is no stranger at RCSI. While here you'll meet people from all around the world. While here you'll meet Arabs, Europeans, North Americans, Asians, and Africans, and everyone in between. You'll get to learn more about each other's cultures, languages, beliefs, and most importantly, cuisine. As some say, if you do RCSI right, you'll never have to pay for a hotel again. Here is another bit of advice to you. A lecture a day keeps the resets away. We are all here for the same reason, which is to learn, get our degrees, and become the future's healthcare professionals. Remember, the courses that we are studying are marathons, and if we leave everything to the last minute, you'll be overwhelmed with the quantity. Study routinely, and remember to manage your time. You have all arrived here on different boats, but you are all aboard the same ship now. And oftentimes, it is the journey that teaches us a lot about our destination. And you'll come to realize this when you're sitting in the lecture theater, just like now, with your colleagues all around you, and you get asked a question that you don't know the answer to. Your colleagues will always be there to help you get the answer. May all the answers be given to you, and I wish you the best of experiences. Thank you.
And now I'm going to hand over the tough job of follow that, Professor Lee, and invite the Professor of Anatomy, Professor Clive Ree, to talk and address you.
Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, new colleagues in particular, I'd like to join with all the staff here in welcoming you to the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland and the beginning of your professional training in medicine, physiotherapy, pharmacy and physician associate studies. Now, this white coat ceremony is a rite of passage, a visible sign of your entry into a professional course. All 4 professions involve dealing with patients, and you'll meet your first patients in the anatomy department. But where do they come from? If you look at anatomy lesson paintings, such as those by Rembrandt, the cadaver was always a convicted criminal who'd been executed that day. But the demand for cadavers exceeded the supply of criminals, so grave robbing and murder were resorted to. This all changed in 1832 with the passing of the Anatomy Act, specifically to ensure a legal supply of cadavers with which to educate doctors. Initially, the The source was those whose bodies were unclaimed by their relatives. But in the 1960s, this changed when the Irish anatomists initiated a campaign to encourage members of the public to donate their remains after death for medical teaching and research. It is these people whom you will meet in the anatomy room, Irish men and women who have generously donated their remains so that you may learn anatomy. The people who donate their bodies to us want you to learn from them. It is their gift to you. They are both your teachers and your first patients. You can repay their generosity by doing your best, by studying hard, and by treating their remains with discretion and respect. Your clinical problems should not be discussed in public on the bus home, and nor should theirs. For the same reason, you mustn't take photographs in the anatomy room. So our donors will also help to teach you how to behave as a professional. Now that you've donned your new white coat, you can come into the anatomy room and you'll meet some senior members of the health professions, people like Mr. Brian Lane, a graduate and fellow of the college. These are people to look up to emulate their knowledge, professionalism and kindness. They teach by example, and you'll sometimes learn, I suspect, by osmosis. I hope that you enjoy your anatomy course with us, resplendent in your white coats. They are health and safety devices to protect you while you dissect, so please keep them clean and out of the canteen. They're also an important professional symbol, so you've got high standards to maintain. I congratulate you on reaching this landmark in your careers and your parents for helping you to do so, and I look forward to working with you and wish you every success and good luck. Thank you very much.
So we're nearly at the end of this evening's ceremony, but what we're going to do now is I invite you to come down the central stairs for the people in the centre, and to come down where the people are standing. So this is Cara here and over here, and you'll come down and you'll shake hands and be congratulated by faculty. So we're going to go row by row to the people in the front row. If you stand up, please. Yeah, great. And if our platform party can stand up, please. Yeah, and step forward. Yeah. So if Professor Lee and Professor Tai, if you stand up, and yeah. Yeah. If you stand up, yeah, and we're just going to shake and we're going to start. So the second row, if you stand up now and start coming down. Great. We'll just get And the third row, if you stand up now and start coming down. Next row want to stand up then and start? Yeah. So could the next row stand up and come on down, please? Thanks.
Okay, we'll just get everybody sitting down.
Have your attention for one last minute. I'm going
One
to
last
ask the Dean to formally close tonight's proceedings. Thank you.
Thank you. So welcome to RCSI, to all of you, our new students. And please enjoy the rest of Orientation Week and all the festivities that are on this week. And please go out and join some of the societies that your fellow students in other years have on offer for you. I can guarantee you, as you've heard from some of our great students here today, that taking part in the full aspects of RCSI life will be really nourishing and encouraging, and a way to get to meet new people. We're going to have a procession out of the room for the platform party here at the top, but I want to ask you to stay in your seats as we process out, in order that we get a few whole class photographs that we will be able to share with you over the next few days, so you can share with your family and friends. And so just to say thank you very much for a wonderful evening, really inspiring speeches by our continuing students, and 4 or 5 of you will be standing here in 1 or 2 or 3 years to come, making the same kinds of speeches, just as our speakers here today said they never imagined that's what they would be doing. So I want to ask you to stand and remain in the lecture theatre as the platform party led by the President part. So thank you very much, everybody, and that concludes the White Coat ceremony this evening.